Hello, so it's Monday, June 12th of 2023, and I just got back from the hardware store, and I've just got some Kendall charcoal that I'm gonna mix a little bit into this beach glass today for a little bit of a custom color blend. And then I've just picked up another designer white that is going to be needed to get my ceiling done, the second coat over my whole ceiling in this area. Now I have about a third of a gallon left in this bucket, and eventually I am going to be mixing what is left in here in with this between the two cans, just to blend them, just in case there's a small color discrepancy, though there probably isn't, but you just never know. I would rather just go ahead and blend the two cans. I specifically left about a third of this can left once I realized it was going to be inadequate so that I could blend the two. And I'm going to do some custom color mixing here because this other color did not quite turn out the way I wanted it to. And I'm going to maybe go a little bit of a darker, richer color while I'm at it. And we'll see how it goes. I bought a little mixer stick that I can hook up to my drill to get that mixed up real well. Wow, so just opening this can, this is just such a beautiful, rich color of gray. I really love it. I'm going to be mixing it with some other leftover paints that I had from other projects as well. And here is that beach glass that came out a little bit too seafoam. And now I did find out that I had somebody who was not really a paint counter person that helped me out. So I'm also not sure if it was the mixing and matching of the paint swatch and the brand that kind of has contributed to my little color differential here where it turned out more seafoam than gray, or if it was maybe a small error, because unfortunately I also went on a really busy day at not a great time, but I wanted a richer, darker color anyways. Now, I'm a little bit crazy, so I don't recommend other people necessarily do this at home or do anything the way that I do things, but I'm just going to mix some of this in. And if for some reason it turns out a little bit too dark, I'm just going to add some white later. I'm going to bell some of it out, add some white to it, back cut it with a little bit of white. But I do want it to be a richer color. So I'm going to start with, not too much here, but maybe a reasonable amount. I haven't measured it or anything. It's all right. And I never used one of these things before. Anyways, guys, since I'm holding my tablet with my other hand, I'm going to set this down so I can focus on this task, and I'll be back with you. So, even though I'm not quite 100% done mixing this yet, I can tell that this is not quite the color that I want. I think this is, pretty close to the original color that I thought about painting this in. But again, I decided that since this area doesn't actually have with this big backsplash area, since it's not necessarily a vast amount of square footage for this richer color, because I'm going to do that nook in a different color, I did want a richer color for this area. So, and I might do that bump out in the same color so that I can have some continuity in the feeling of the space. So I'm just gonna, now unfortunately I don't have a whole lot of space in this paint can, so we'll see what I can do here, but I'm just gonna that's about as much as I can pour in here. I might have to bail some out, which I would then be able to use on a different project, because I do have some spaces that I want to paint that are going to be kind of, sorry, this drill, by the way, is older than my daughter, who is now 18 years old. So my dad bought this for me when I was about maybe 17 years old or so. And I'm getting ready to turn 38 years old, just to give you an idea of how old this Craftsman drill is. And this is even the original battery that came with it. It's got a light that's in the set too. But this is one of the first tools that my dad ever bought me for my own self when I was little. So again, especially because I got like this overflow situation going on, I'm going to go ahead and put this tablet down. I'll be back with you. All right, now I was going to use some of this overflow to make more space into the Silverado Sage over here, but as you can see, that paint is not good anymore. You know, it's been sitting in an unheated house and is for the past 2 years and is years old. And I don't know if I like screwed up and like didn't close the lid all the way or what, but it was like all separated on the top and the paint is just in a giant chunk. So I don't know, maybe I did not, maybe the lid wasn't on all the way, I don't know, but some of these other paints are so good. Now this color is cut cedar, and this is what my front door is in, and then this is it's called Under the Sea. Okay. And I'm gonna go ahead, you know, if that Silverado Sage was still good, I was gonna cut it with a lot of this Kendall charcoal to make a bathroom color for myself, or at least the beginnings of a bathroom color. But instead, what I am gonna do is I'm gonna work on making some color for that stairwell, which I think, you know, I showed you guys the stairwell situation. It was a little bit darker. Here's the Under the Sea color. Here, I think this might be some of the Silverado Sage that I had left over. And I mostly wanted to cover the parts that I had filled all the holes and things like that. These are some colors that I had thought about getting, but it's not a very big area and I've got the paint to do it. I need to just go ahead and at least get started on mixing my color for that so that I can make some space in this paint can. I do not have the right shape Tupperware, so I am going to have to get a different shape Tupperware with a smaller surface area probably. But I've got this old measuring cup that came with the house that I just kind of had to wash out real quick that I would use to bail out my sink on my old cast iron ceramic sink because of the broken garbage disposal. So this is like super not perfect situation. But I'm just gonna bail some of this out in here to make some space because although I am probably gonna do a quick sample on the wall, I did want to do quite a bit of a rich color on the kitchen after all. So I'm gonna end up seeing probably what this looks like. And I do need to, like you can tell, I need to mix it a little bit better. But it's the overflow is not working out for me, and I had been planning on using a little bit of this to mix up some other stuff for me anyways. Now, I wanted that area to be an earthy green and not too brown, not too green. I'm gonna throw in, oh, this can is a little bit big. I'm gonna throw in some more of this charcoal because I wanted it to be, the Kendall charcoal, because I wanted it to be a nice dark rich color. Because I feel like it's such a small surface area in there, it's one of the areas that I can actually get away with something like this. I'm going to put a little bit of this cut cedar. I'm going to save some of this in case I need to touch up my door in the future. And then I'm basically going to put quite a bit of this under the green in there. Okay. So, let's see how this goes. This is just you know, mad scientist mode. This is not nearly the depth of color that I wanted for that area. So I'm going to be putting quite a bit more of this in there. I'm going to save a little bit of this in case I want my kitchen color a little bit darker. I don't really need the green that is in here for anything else. I may end up scraping what's left in here out of here later. And, you know, if I really need to get more of this door paint later, I can. I'm just going to save just a little bit. Okay, so that's this right now. Now I'm thinking about eventually putting basically the rest of this Kendall charcoal into here, but for now what I want to do is, well, I'm making a mess of myself. I guess I can just use this thing and blend this up a little more, because what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to steal some of this color and I'm going to put it back into here. Oh my goodness, I like that. And then I'm going to have a little bit of headspace in there after I mix this, in case I do decide to actually add more of the Kendall charcoal in there for the kitchen. But I'm feeling like this, I don't know, let's see. Guys, I feel like this is actually now, I mean, here's just some dried out white stuff for like a color comparison. I feel like this color is getting to a point where I'm comfortable with doing my first little sample area on the wall. So I'm just going to mix it a little bit better. I'm going to put this down, be very diligent about mixing it up real good, and then I'm going to put some of it on the wall and we're going to see how it looks. Now, this hasn't even quite finished drying yet, and I can tell it's not actually anywhere close to where I want it to be yet. So I'm just gonna keep going, and what I'm actually gonna do is I'm just gonna go ahead and actually put the rest of that Kendall charcoal in there, and I'm feeling actually deep regret for not getting a bigger can of this. Fortunately, the store isn't closed yet, so if this doesn't get her done, I still have some time left. We'll see how it goes. So I don't know if you can see that little darker patch. It hasn't quite finished drying yet, but it's still not quite where I want to be yet for this color. I am having a little bit of regrets of divvying up my Kendall charcoal because I feel like I did not buy enough of it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pour the rest of the Kendall charcoal that I have in there, as well as a little bit of this cut cedar. I don't have very much of this left, but I am going to add just a little bit of that to my can as well, just to make it a little bit warmer because it's a little bit cooler. The color is still a little bit cooler than I want it to be. So, you know, I'm gonna, well, let's see, I could just go ahead and I'll probably end up having to scrape this stuff out. And, you know, fortunately, I think I did bail just enough out that I can fit the rest of this in there. So I'm gonna end up having to scrape a little bit of that out of that can to really get the last bits of it. We're gonna add a little bit of this for some warmth. Considering this is a whole gallon of paint, this actually isn't a whole lot. And then I really don't know what I'm gonna end up with here. You know, this Kindle charcoal is so dark. I thought it would be enough, but it's not. It's pretty when you're mixing it. Yeah, you know, we'll see how it goes. I want to finish mixing this. I'm going to put some more up on the wall. So I've just put a new sample swatch up of my last iteration. It is not quite dry yet. It is starting to look really good to me. I'm starting to get a little bit more excited about this. Something more that is what I was looking for. I did decide to just scrape the inside of the can with one of my foam brushes, put the last of that Kindle charcoal in there, as well as some remnants of that aged cedar. I'm gonna mix it up again and put another swatch on. I don't know. I don't know if you guys find this part of like the marbling as satisfying as I do, but it's quite nice. Now I gotta focus because this really old battery on this drill doesn't keep much of a charge, so I'm gonna run out of battery soon and have to recharge it if I'm not careful. So I'm gonna put this tablet down and I'll be back with you guys. Well, I'm just sort of sitting with this right now because, well, I'm still wearing my nice pants, so I gotta be careful to avoid this paint as I walk over here. But this, and obviously it's just like a foam brush kind of crappy coat. This is the Kindle charcoal. Okay, not a good coat, but you know, this is this concoction that I mixed in here that I accidentally wasted some of my Kindle charcoal on. You know, that's the state of this other thing, my main can, but I'm looking at this and I've been sitting with it and I'm not really quite satisfied with this. It hasn't quite finished drying yet. It's a little too cold still, and you know, even my original swatch that I chose is a little bit cold. And I just feel like looking at it on my wall, I realize I screwed up. Now I don't have tons of this, but somewhere, because I was thinking, do I need to go back to the hardware store and get more of this to mix into this? When I actually really like the saturation of this, it's a little bit earthier and it is like a little bit greener. And I feel like if I mix some of it in, I might get a nice middle ground without getting more of that. And I didn't have enough of that to get this to the right shade that I want anyways. But I quite like this right here. I'm worried that it's going to be too oppressive at nighttime, is why I don't want to, you know, stick with that. I don't have enough of that for my whole kitchen anyways. So I'm going to be mixing, I'm going to be bailing out some of this into, I'm just going to put it in this can because I don't have a lot of space. And then I'm going to be putting the green stuff into the blue stuff. And then I just wanted to show you how the big gallon that I mixed so far is looking in here. Now it is a much nicer, like it's a less cold color, this part over here, than what I started with, which is the part over here. Is too cold for me. So I don't know. I'm going to see how it looks at night later, but if I mix some of that green in here, the same shade might work in the whole area, although I doubt a gallon is going to be enough to do all of it anyways. But it's the lighting in here is a little awkward to capture it. But see, even on camera, that green looks like too dark. I'm just not getting good light on my screen. Looks radically different than what I'm seeing in real life right now. And I'm not really so much worried about, I don't do Instagram or anything. I just want something that looks good in person. So I'm gonna bail some of this out into one of my empty canisters and then mix some of that green in, and we'll see how it goes. My battery's charging right now, so I gotta be a little bit patient. So I've just bailed some of the color that was in here out into here. Okay, and now what I'm gonna end up doing is I'm gonna be putting that in here because I decided to just go ahead and try to mix the vestiges up of that, and we'll see, because I'm going to end up trying to mix a color in here that's going to work for my other hallway on the stairwell. I was a total doofus, and I had just, unfortunately it hasn't been that long ago, I put my drill battery on the charger and I didn't even realize that I had unplugged the charger. So it hasn't been that long, it's just been a few minutes, but I'm kind of a little upset with myself. But we'll see how it goes. I may actually end up, I got a little bit more room in the can. I may put just a little bit more. I don't want the color to be too oppressive at night. So I want a nice, rich color that is not too cold, that is not going to be too oppressive at night when the lights are off in here. So I think that, and we'll see how it looks, but I'm actually starting to feel a bit satisfied, and we'll see how this looks when it goes on the wall. Now it's, what is it? It's 3:35 in the afternoon, and I realized that even though I had my coffee this morning, I haven't actually eaten anything yet. So I'm gonna take an intermission here to get some food, and hopefully by then my drill battery will have enough charge on it. So I did just start to hand mix this a little bit, but I've just got some charge on my battery again. Now I mixed kind of what was left in here. I stuck it in this, I was gonna try to save some of this cut cedar, but I wonder if this will fit in here. Yes, it will. So I'm just gonna mix it. Oh no, it doesn't fit in there. Okay, so I'm not gonna do that, but what I'm gonna do is I'll take this chopstick or something, this old chopstick, and I'm gonna mix this up in the cut cedar, and then I'm gonna put all of that into this, because I poured what I bailed out of here into my Kindle charcoal, and I'm gonna add a little bit of green, and what I'm hoping to end up with after this is the paint color for my my stairwell, which I did want kind of a dark color, and I want it to be a little bit greener than what is shown up right here. So anyways, I'm gonna get back with you guys after I get a little bit of mixing done here. Wow, I took that last clip and it's still gonna end up in my video, and I realized I got all discombobulated because this was a lighter color before I poured the green into here, this greenish stuff that was in this bin over here, and then I poured what was left in here into here. So this is obviously the darker color, and it's in the mixed cedar tub. But now this tiny little container is probably not going to be enough to do my stairwell super well. I wanted my stairwell stuff to go in here. So now I am just gonna, guys, this is all like super informal. I don't have a good grasp on this right now. It's no good. It's no good. I can't set it down on my floor. Let's do this. Ugh. Yeah, this is not how I recommend anybody to do things, but this is just what I have going on. And this is going to be a little bit darker than I was going in since I put it in here. And I'm actually, now that I've mixed it in with a little bit of what was left of this other stuff, this is going in here. Oh, that color looks good. Now again, this is not going to be quite enough, and I am going to end up scraping out that can before I put this other stuff in there. So the color doesn't need to be quite that dark, but I don't want it to end up being as light as my kitchen color is going to end up being. So I'm going to just add back in some of this stuff. Maybe we'll do like that much, and that's it. Ooh, I got a big old mess going all up in here. And the thing is I wanted it to be a little bit greener. So I do have just a little bit left in here. And this color, this Under the Sea color is so vibrant that just a little bit should help. So since I'm really not convinced that I want my kitchen wall color to be any greener, yeah, I mean, so I'm not going to use my power mixer for this. I'm just going to hand mix it after I put that other stuff in there, and I'm going to check back with you guys. Well, you know, I just wanted to comment that I was more involved in the arts when I was younger, but it's really been something that I've been neglecting to spend my free time towards. I haven't had quite as much time and focus and things like that for creative pursuits as I would like, but I find this whole process pretty satisfying. Now, where am I gonna stick this? I'm just gonna stick this over here for now. It's all a mess. I'm really lazy, unfortunately, guys. So even though I said I wasn't gonna stick this in here, I don't think the amount of green I'm gonna get in my 1 gallon is gonna be too much. So I do got to just take my little foam brush and get this stuff out so that it's not getting mixed in later, all these different colors. I just want them to kind of meld right now. I'm just gonna use the same foam brush that I was just using. It's fine. This is kind of imprecise. This is just kind of how I roll. Again, I don't recommend other people do things this way. This is just kind of how I go about things. And it might be a little bit crazy, but maybe I just am a little bit crazy and it just is what it is. But how satisfying is that? Just go in, and I got too much swirly stuff up in here. I need to boot that paint back into the can. drip. So I'm going to put some of this on the walls. Both of these, just to take a look at them. Wow, guys, so I'm just starting to feel really disaffected in some different ways because, you know, this is what's in my small can right now, which is not going to work for my stairwell. This is what's in my big can right now, which is getting really close to what I want. It's getting really close. But I still think I want to bring just a little bit of this earthy green that's in my smaller can into this. And, you know, I even put some of that green over here to just see how it looks. It's this dark one right here. How that shade of darkness looks in here. Now the lights are on right now in this other part of the kitchen. So even that, I feel like at night might be kind of oppressively dark, but I feel like it's going to be okay for me to go ahead and mix that into my big can. So I'm going to bail out some of what's in my big can right now. And I'm going to put some of that green in there. I do want it to be I don't want it to be too green. I want it to be kind of something in the middle, but not cold. So we'll see how it goes. Alright, so here's a little bit of my color progression situation. Now, let's see. This area right here is still wet, that stripe in the middle, but this is kind of the area, the color that I've ended up with. It looks quite a bit darker on camera here. It's only got one layer on it. I feel like it's, and again, this part is wet, but it's basically more of this. Because as you can see, some of the milky color is still bleeding through here. I don't know if you can see it on the camera or not, but I feel pretty good about this because this color is still a little bit cold, not quite as cold as this, but without descending too much into the sage green territory, because I am going to have some, maybe some greens in other places, but let me see, I'm walking backwards with my tablet right now. I just turned the light off. So this is, you know, kind of late afternoon, early summer, and that's the shade. And then here's what it's going to have, that coastal gray counter and the wood stain white. And I have no idea what the floors are eventually going to be. I actually looked at some long porcelain tiles that look like wood, but I think I was only going to do those if I did the whole downstairs in those, which I don't necessarily want porcelain all downstairs. And since I've decided that I'm not going to actually move the kitchen and take out this entire wall, I think I might be ready to do the floor sooner than later once I have the money that I feel comfortable with spending on it. Now I do again want to take out this section of this wall because what happened is I had a downstairs wood stove and then it broke, so I replaced it with this that is kind of like up in the way, and I am going to set that back a little bit further, that wood stove, once I get the cement board to finish out the wall and everything behind it safely. So anyways, what I'm going to do is I've got a big mess here. My goal today was to basically just kind of salvage this gallon of paint. That was, again, it was that cold blue that I just wasn't, I didn't really want that color anywhere in the house. So I had this gallon of paint because I didn't do a sample. You know, I feel like I am getting the color that I want now. So I'm not dissatisfied. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up all these extra paints, see what I can fit into this one container that was the Kindle charcoal. And, you know, that will get a little bit lighter. But what's going to eventually happen is I'll be able to eventually either mix these in with more of a Kindle charcoal color or another color, or mix them with some of the designer white to get a much lighter shade of this for another room. Because my full bath downstairs, for example, I don't really want to be a very dark shade. So what I might end up doing is Now with the extra gallon of paint that I got, I'm not expecting to be able to do 2 coats on the basement area as well. So what I might end up doing is eventually mixing some of that designer white, which I will eventually have to buy more of, in with this. And again, this, I don't have 2 coats on this whole ceiling, and the ceiling is not, really finished properly, but compared to the milk tea color it was, it's a huge improvement. I mean, you can see it kind of there around the light, the milk tea color. That's everywhere. This used to be on the living room ceiling and walls as well. But it's a really nice, comfortable, soothing shade of white that I'm actually just really enjoying. And I'm excited to see how this goes. Now, if I ever trim this out with like, any crown molding or anything, that's going to be more of a less gray and more of a whiter white on the trim. So that is long into the future. Anyways, I just mostly wanted to get some sample up. Now, before I actually paint this wall, because I've got such a hodgepodge going over there with just a foam brushes, I'm going to have to sand that down. But I'm going to put just a little bit more of this color up on the wall that I've kind of satisfied myself with. And I'm just going to sit with it for a little while at night and just see how I like it. I'm actually going to put some of it up over there in that nook as well to just see if maybe I'll be able to do this whole area in one color. Although what I might do is I might take this color and I may have to have another can of it mixed and then cut it with just a little bit of white to do this area in here. So we'll see how that goes. But I've got some beans that I gotta plant today, so I've gotta clean up all this mess and get cracking at that before I lose sunlight. Take it easy. Now I had to move my rack of ribs inside, and I just wanted to also come in and take a look at this color at nighttime and see how I feel about it. Now it's, let's see, where's my finger gonna show up in it? Okay, so it's this color right here is what I've got in my big can. And I've got to say, even in this light, I'm feeling super excited about it. Now, I've got some of it over there, and you wouldn't be able to tell because it looks so different, but with the satin and the glare, it looks kind of all crazy, even on that darker nook in that back wall. So, I don't know how I'm feeling. Since I'm going to be doing a different color in here anyways, I think I am going to avoid the satin in this area, perhaps, and get more of an eggshell. Because if I come at it in a different way, well, I don't know. Maybe that's the old color. I have to reinvestigate this because I don't know why that color back there looks so crazy. But this one, it should have been on here. It should have been this one here, is what I have over there. Now, if I turn on the overhead recess lights, look at how crazy this place is, guys. This is why I had to chop up my ribs outside so that they would fit in the Dutch oven. But it's this color, look how. And I feel really happy. So, this video, who knows, maybe I won't be so happy when it goes up on the walls, but I feel really excited, and I feel like no matter what, even though my color ended up way off the initial what I started off with in my can, I feel like no matter what, I was always going to have a little bit of an issue getting the color just right for what I wanted in this space, because I was wanting that gray with some saturation, and I feel like, well, I don't know where I put the swatches that I started with on here, but even the swatch that I had was a little bit too saturated for what I would have liked on my full walls. So, oh, I'm stepping on stuff. Anyways, it took me a while to get there, but we'll see how it actually goes and then how it looks when everything is put together, even though, you know, I'm not going to have a backsplash for a while. So this area is still going to be struggling, but once I actually get, you know, a sink faucet that works and a stainless steel sink that doesn't break any glass that slips just like a couple inches, and once I get a nice cleanable coastal fog countertop, maybe it's gonna be all right. Anyways, this is way too long, but this is just me capturing this process for myself to look back on later, and so that my daughter, my kiddo, can see what I'm up to, because she actually, after she saw I think maybe one of the ceiling videos, it was like 1:30 in the morning my time, she sent me a text message of a YouTube video of like how to do a professional paint job. And I wasn't sure if she was just trying to help me out or if she was worried that I was gonna super bugger it up. So one of the things that I did learn from that video is a gentleman was saying that you're really supposed to sand in between coats. So now I don't have the right stuff to sand in between coats, but I do have enough to at least sand this crazy area that I've been putting all these colors on so it doesn't end up super crazy before I commence. And I'm not too worried about sanding the whole thing because I'm a little bit weird. I like paint roller texture. Not like the full on, like you can't see what I got going on so well in the living room, but they sprayed this because they had that crazy awful coffee color in here and on the ceiling and everything too, but they sprayed this seafoam green with this texture on the walls and they oversprayed the floor and everything, and it's a soothing color, although the ceiling is also done in it, and you can see where they had the milk tea under this spray. And it's you know, I wonder what was so terrible about that fixture that they had to leave the house without one. Now, since I'm on this long meandering video that is going to take hours to upload while I'm sleeping, I am just going to come back in here and show you guys briefly, well, it's pieces right now because I have to assemble it. But I got this pretty cool light fixture on Amazon, and I got super lucky because shortly after I bought it, the price got changed from like $25 to $45. But anyways, it's like it's got 2 rows of this kind of like aged wood looking stuff that gets connected together with these like little bar things that are this color, and it's not super fancy, but I thought it looked quite alright for $25. Now, if it was at the $45 that it's at now, I don't necessarily think I would have bought it. I actually found one that I like better that's like $50, but what I'm thinking, because the bathroom upstairs is super unfinished, is I'm going to put this little $25 light fixture up here eventually. For now, probably after I paint this ceiling, which is like a long ways in the future, like it might not happen till the winter, but eventually I might replace it and put the $25 light fixture up in the upstairs bathroom and then change the one that's in the living room, but way down the line. Anyways, wow, I super ramble when I'm tired, so I am just gonna go sit for a while. Take it easy, y'all.